Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hoosier Football Tailgate. I am the Coach Shannon Griffith coming here to you this evening on the Bleav Network. And we're going to sit back and relax and recap this great win by the Indiana Hoosiers over the Indiana State Sycamores coached by Kurt Mallory, a kind of a homecoming for him. And I don't think the Hoosiers were overly hospitable considering that the Hoosier defense really played well again. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. I think they've displayed their talent and what they have as a defense, which can be a special group. I know they're still a little bit apprehensive with that new secondary there, but all things pointing to things going well there in the DB room, coached by Coach Shelby. No question that the ability as a coach to bring that group together. But again, overall, a great defensive performance. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And also the fact that, Indiana on Saturday really pitched a shutout outside of that return fumble that the offense gave up there that gave the Indiana State their only points of the night. That happened right there in the second quarter. That gave Indiana State a score, but a 41-7 victory over a team they should have beaten. There's no doubt in that regard that they came into that game having to beat Indiana State, needed a win. They got the win, and they're going to focus their sights now on the Louisville Cardinals. That is going to be played at Lucas Oil Stadium with, I believe, a 12 o'clock kickoff. But again, another defensive performance that was, I believe, very good. If I had to give it a grade, A minus. As a total group of 11, I thought the defensive line just dominated the line of scrimmage, and it was nice to see that from that perspective. Today being Monday, September the 11th, and those that you out there remembered what occurred some 20 some odd years ago now, it doesn't seem possible. Those that had family members that were affected by this date, my heart goes out to you and everyone that was impacted in some way or another. It's a day that I'll never forget, having been an assistant coach at Ball State at the time under Bill Lynch. We were preparing to play Southern Illinois, and when we got the news of that first tower being hit there in New York. But a sad day overall, a day of remembrance. But you can celebrate today a winning weekend by the Hoosiers. Today, Tom Allen in his news conference did announce a new starting quarterback for the Hoosiers. Tayven Jackson will be the starter heading into the Louisville game. He gave his a pretty open discussion on what he did with both those young men, where he set them both down to make sure that they were hearing it one time and one time only. There was no innuendo or anything of that matter. So a very professional way of doing it with those two young men. I'm sure in some respects it stung a little bit for Sorsby, but they're going to need both these young men. I just don't think you can go through the Big Ten nowadays with one quarterback all year, and he will have to be somebody that Indiana still prepares as if he is going to be the starter. And I hope that's the young man's mindset, because he's too good of a player to not continue progressing in his craft and skill and getting the reps that he can get during the week. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but Tayven Jackson is going to be the starter at Louisville. I'm not overly surprised that's the decision way they went with him. I mean, he was 18 of 21 on on Friday night, 230 some odd yards passing. Now, he didn't yield any touchdown passes. He did score one himself, but a pretty robust performance by him on Friday night. I think this game, just like the first game for the Hoosiers, that now the tide had flipped to the other side, where they were the dominant foe on both sides of the coin, offensively and defensively. Both defensive lines and offensive lines need to be complimented for how they dominated the line of scrimmage. In the game of football, it starts up front, and all those kids that are a part of those two units and those coaches, they did a phenomenal job on Friday night, especially for Indiana, establishing a rushing game that I had talked about on the preview show, that Indiana really needed to develop a running game that they could hang their hat on, especially when they needed a run of 4 to 5 yards of effectiveness. They were able to do that and finish the game with 214 yards rushing. I talked about efficiency and the importance in the run game of having efficiency on first and second down. They were able to do that on Friday night, and they did it quite well. Their third down conversion rate on Friday night um, was, let's see, 12 out of 16 on third down. So that tells me right then and there that their effectiveness, efficiency on first and second down was really good. Don't have any averages per se to say what they were getting on those first and second downs. But it's needless to say, when they got into third down, they were in third and medium to short the majority of the night. And that's what a good offense does. Efficiency in their football game, and gives them the ability to run and pass the football without being one dimensional in a game like that. But I thought it was very good for the Hoosiers on both sides of the football, and a really dominated performance by each and every position group. Another thing I thought the Hoosiers did really well, and when we get to the video segment, I'll show some of it, is they did a great job of targeting 9 different receivers in this game against Indiana State. I think Cooper had the most at 7 receptions, 101 yards. I said that they needed to do that more to get some targets his way, as well as McCauley and Henderson and Camper. All those kids had anywhere from 3 to 4 receptions on the night. I thought the quarterbacks did a good job of doing that. Even Brendan, he was 9 of 16 on the night. So you can see, as a group, as a quarterback group, as a receiver group, they did a great job of targeting a lot of different bodies out there in their passing game, which I thought was highly effective against Indiana State, and really kept them guessing in that regard. Running game wise, in that 214-yard rushing performance that the Hoosiers touted on Friday night, Jalen Lucas, what can you say about that kid? 88 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He also returns kick. I mean, this kid is so dynamic. I wish he was 6'2", 220, but he is a dynamite player, explosive speed. And I look for great things from this kid. To keep going, because I think he can be a huge factor, especially if the guys up front continue to execute in their running game, no matter what they run. That kid, give him a little bit of space, and he's going to take it definitely 4 or 5 yards in a hurry. The other kid, Henderson, I thought did well as well. He had 1 touchdown, averaged 5 yards a carry, 60 yards on the day. So effectiveness out of both those kids, they're going to need it. I also thought the quarterbacks at time well. Sorsby actually had 28 yards rushing, more than Tayven. So the dynamic between the two, as you can see there, Taven's more your true prototypical pro-style quarterback, drop back, throw it, but he also can run it. Let's not discount the ability he has there. But again, Sorsby was their third leading rusher at 28 yards. But I thought, again, between the receivers and the running backs game, I thought they all had dynamic game on Friday night against Indiana, and resulted in a high-powered offense pumping out 550 plus yards on the night. Just a very, very good offensive performance. Now they come up, and now they're going to play a better ACC defense in the Louisville Cardinals. And come Thursday, I'll give you a better breakdown of Louisville and Jeff Brom, but they're going to face some of the similarities that they faced against Purdue, with that staff mostly being intact at Louisville with Coach Brom. And we'll get to that a little bit later this week. Defense, I thought the defense played fast. and physical. Those are the two things you want out of a coach. Again, gap responsibilities were pretty good. There were some unnecessary penalties in this game, mostly during the special teams. I thought they got a little careless in that regard, but on defense, man, did they play fast, and they played and they played with a sense of urgency, and that's what you like to see from your defensive front seven, especially. And I thought they did that well on Friday night. They only gave up 93 yards of total offense. They had only 72 yards rushing. Did the Sycamores have on Friday night? So just a physically dominating performance by the Hoosiers. They kept them on third downs, 2 out of 11. That is phenomenal, phenomenal defensive football, because that tells me the opposite. They were putting Indiana State in long yardage situation on third downs, which against, I don't care who you are offensively, it's just harder to convert consistently when you're lining up 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 consistently on a game day. It's just very difficult to convert those. I thought the field position was decent for the Hoosiers for most part of the day. They did establish some drives where they needed to, come out from their 30-yard line, 25-yard line, but they very seldom had to start inside their 10, which I think was a huge, huge benefit for them as an offense. And again, I thought the defensive performance was just as good as you could ask for from a group of guys that in some respects are still gelling together. Defensive totals, Dunham was a leading tackler with 8. Casey had 7. Carter, Moore, and Carr all had 4. Carter again displayed some of his physical attributes in this game that were just pretty much shocking in terms of how fast that he developed some of his defensive play on Friday night. So again, totally good ball game for the Hoosiers. ABC in special teams and in defense and offense, you couldn't say they really lacked in anything there, but I really did Bleav that they were somewhere where they needed to be against a lesser opponent in Indiana State. Well, let's look over here at some game film from this game. As you can see, got loaded up here, and we'll see this is the opening drive for Indiana. First play of the game, kind of a delayed rollout boot left. Good job of getting the ball in the flat. He did take a little bit of a late hit there, but you can see, man, get the ball to that young man out of the backfield, and he's going to do great things with it when you give him the opportunity to run the ball in space. It's just something to see with Jalen. But a big first down play there. They did have a roughing the passer, which was a legitimate call on that one, I thought, and it really gave the Hoosiers some better field position. As you can see, here is the second one. The one thing I want you to watch here is the quickness of Tayven transferring from the play action fake, pivoting in his body, putting that back foot in the ground, and then delivering a strike out here, a little high for Cooper, but then just let that kid go out in space. Big bodied kid. Had a really good game. I said like 100. I think he had 101 yards receptions yards receiving on Friday night. And again, there's that offensive line that just did really good for Indiana. Again, this is kind of an RPO. You can see here the Hoosiers are running the power running game. So right now in the box, as you can see, he's going to block this guy. This guy right here is actually going to pull, and he's going to try to block him. All right, so there's your power running game. You're getting good down blocks in here from the offensive lineman, but you can't see it very well because it's way down here. But there's a receiver right here, and there is a lot of what we call free access for Tayven to decide what he wants to do, and he decides to take it and just plays little pitch and catch out there in space. And again, there's a 5-yard, 6-yard throw that goes for 15, 20 yards, and you just love those type of passes as a quarterback because they're high percentage passes. McCullough gets it, does a great job of pivoting to the outside and what we call circle the defense, and does a great job and almost broke it for a touchdown. Then on this play here, this is the next, the next play from scrimmage is, I Bleav he's checking at this point, getting a call from the sideline, and this is the phenomenal run for the touchdown. Watch this, what we call a jump cut. Boop, right there. Center's, really hard trying to battle against that one technique. They're not getting much help there, but was this ever a good move? Now, if I'm grading this is not a very good job up front, not very good here. He's got a tough block. The center there has a tough block, but this guy gets through and almost gets to the back play. So we got, you got to get your head across there. Good job by the backside tight end, staying with it, and then whoop, there he goes. Good job downfield by, I Bleav that was Cooper blocking on the outside. So the receivers buying into the total atmosphere of offensive football. You're not going to get pass called every time. And sometimes you got to do things where you go out and sacrifice your body in space. And that's what they did, and did quite well on Friday night. Here's some defensive clips again. Indiana State, their version of RPO. This is going to be a quarterback run, play action pass concept, and they're trying to hit the back out of the backfield, and he misses him. And this is a tough play to defend because these backers are seeing down block and they're getting pull calls, and they're going to fill, and they're trying to fill in their spots. Okay. Well, this guy is essentially unaccounted for unless this guy peels on it. But it's a tough play to defend because he's taken on the block of the rushing guard there. Fortunately, there it was a long foul ball, and no harm, no foul. But something Indiana's going to have to be aware of going into these other games, because somebody like Coach Braun will take it and figure out how to put it in their offense. Again, here, just look at the explosiveness down here. This defensive end, wow, this is quick and violent, and boom. I mean, that is some good technique there, young man, and he did a great job on that one. With that was Carr, I Bleav, 41, I Bleav is his number, but he did a great job of using his gap and using his hands here. This is just a great bull rush by Carr. He just takes this tackle and implants him and almost gets the sack, but enough of a breakup that he is able to get it good. And here's an example of what I'm talking about, efficiency. It's 3rd and 9, and these guys can just pin their ears back and get after it. And that's what they do and cause havoc. And next thing you know, they're in the backfield causing havoc against the Sycamores. Punt game really didn't evolve into anything. Here's another good run play by the Hoosiers, outside zone, even with some missed opportunities. Tayven actually keeps this one and gets a little bit on that one. And then here's 2nd and 10. So now you're in a situation, what do? They hit the back out of the backfield. And this is a great, because essentially Indiana State's kind of playing a 2-man look to a degree. And we call this a spot route, where he goes right there and sits, and then you're going to get this back, what we call on a wheel route. And Tayven does a good job and hits him. Ball's a little behind him, but enough for the running back to go down the sideline and make a play. I think that was Henderson on that one. So big play to get out of that 1st and 10 position there. Sorensby comes in here. This is the last one we're going to show. And the reason I want to show this is watch this kid. He's coming in totally cold. He comes right out, steps right up in the pocket, great presence, and rips it right here to the backside curl. And does a great job of hitting the window and getting a big play down the sideline. So again, as you can see, the Hoosiers did a great job on Friday night on all phases of the game. Now our focus turns to the Louisville Cardinals out of the ACC who beat Murray State. I'll have more of that for you on Thursday night here on the Bleav Network, a breakdown of the Cardinals and Jeff Brom as they come up to Indianapolis to play in Lucas Oil this Saturday at noon. Well, thank you for joining me here tonight for this recap of the Indiana State game. Again, the big news out of Bloomington today, Tom Allen names Tayven Jackson the starting quarterback for the Hoosiers for the Louisville game, and they're going to set and ride him as far as they can, but they'll definitely need two. But congratulations to Tayven in that battle for that starting position, and we'll need a lot of Hoosiers in Lucas Oil on Saturday afternoon as the Hoosiers take on the Louisville Cardinals out of the ACC. Well, I thank you for joining me here tonight. I'm the Coach Shannon Griffith. Thank you for joining me here on the Hoosier Football Tailgate on the Bleav Network. We'll see you on Thursday. Good night, everybody.